What's up, Rito? Shadetree Surgeon here in the Tiger Temple Tattoo Emporium with my man, the one and only Ken Dean. Now, I say the one and only to describe a lot of people, but Ken is actually the one and only Ken Dean. And my man, Gut77, who's now in a compromising position here with his shoes off, about to get his arm blasted with the Swamp Wizard. The Dirty Hobo Swamp Wizard, as drawn by Ken Dean, the very first ever rap star design that wasn't done by me in crappy Photoshop or wasn't our actual logo, was done by Ken Dean as a gift for me, and it's the only design that's actually a tattoo that by a tattoo artist. It started as a tattoo, and you're the very first person to get it tattooed on them. That's freaking awesome, man. I love it, dude. That's your first tattoo? Dude, hell yeah. I like a girl whose eyes are like Kansas City and Kansas and in misery. Well, you've left misery and you're here in Florida, my man. Life's about to get a whole lot better, or a whole lot worse. I really don't actually know.
Come on vacation, leave on probation.
Well, there's only one way to find out. Get a fresh tattoo, just moved into town, and just go see what Tampa's all about. I love it, man. First tattoo doesn't hurt. It just feels like a sunburn, dude. It feels like I got licked on by kittens, man. Ken's got one of the most gentle hands in the industry as well.
So gentle.
A gentle spirit, a gentle hand for a very tough tattoo.
A gentle, very giving lover, too.
Ken Dean, oft known as Old Kenny 2 times, they call him all over Europe, baby.
So nice, you gotta do it twice.
Master of the double backwards reverse Apache, Ken Swingin' Low Dean.
Specializing in Alaskan turnpikes and strawberry shortcakes.
Anyway, you don't know what those hands have done, Guts. All right, I'm gonna make you stop laughing before your first tattoo turns into something else. I mean, it's got a lot of stippling in it, which means, you know, we can do laughing when you get to that. Tiger Temple tattoo. I've missed a couple other guys who came down here to get tattooed by Ken. You should always get a tattoo when you're on vacation. It just makes for a better story. I don't always make it down here because I never know when people are gonna show up, but Ken always gives me a call when somebody comes in who's in Shadetree Army. And my man Guts is not on vacation. He actually moved down here, and he brought super awesome gifts for me and Shay Lisi, which I didn't open here because we'll open it later on camera. There's a few people out there rocking Brapstar designs, and I'll tell you, I think that's freaking awesome. I mean, of course I think it's awesome. They're the designs for Brapstar, but I think it's awesome because, like, a lot of them were made by my friends. A lot of them were made by friends of mine who are tattoo artists. So to me, it only makes sense that people end up getting them as tattoos. And on top of all that, maybe I'm tooting my own horn here, but I'm not. I'm tooting my friends' horns, not my horn. Although I think my horn might get a little tickle along the way. It's not like someone's just getting a logo tattooed on them or the name tattooed on them. These guys are getting designs tattooed on them. The designs are awesome, and a lot of them are done in a tattoo style. So yeah, I'm gonna toot all my friends' horn who do all my designs and say, Brapstar designs, Shadetree Army designs, those are awesome and they're totally tattoo worthy. And I can't think of a more fitting memento to start your new journey in the wang with a tattoo of the Dirty Hobo Swamp Wizard. Because guess what? I'm not the Dirty Hobo Swamp Wizard, not the Dirty Hobo Swamp Wizard. I am just a Dirty Hobo Swamp Wizard. Come, join us. You too can be a Dirty Hobo Swamp Wizard. We all float down here, and guess what, baby? We might be scum, but scum, it eventually rises to the top. Uh-oh, as my bike runs out of gas. There we go. Where was I? Oh yes! Onward, my fellow scum warriors! Dueling FXRs once again. We are Instagram bikers to the extreme right now. Double FXRs with a skateboard strapped to the back. This is literally like Instagram heaven.
I was so scared because I was like, what if I got in trouble?
Commence to jiggling. Well, jiggle it does. It just doesn't jiggle you as much because it's a rubber-rounded shovel. Everybody knows that the FX was Harley's first custom, and everybody kind of just assumes the FXR replaced the FX, which in a way it did. The FX was kind of supposed to be Harley's like original factory custom, factory hot rod type deal. It had Sportster front suspension, but a big twin frame. Of course, the FXR came around, so logically, like, okay, that's what it replaced. But Harley-Davidson actually did continue to make the FX. So you could actually get an FX with an Evo engine for a short amount of time. I'm not exactly sure when they stopped making the FXE with the Evo engine, and I know they didn't make a whole lot of them. Would have been a hard choice to make. You would have had to really hate the FXR styling, which some people certainly did, but you'd really have to hate it to choose a solid mounted Evolution engine in an FX frame rather than having the FXR. Of course, it did have that more traditional Harley look, and a lot of people just kind of mistake them for Dynas, but they are not. That's still the FX frame, just with an Evo engine in it. If you want to get even more confused, There's also a frame that I actually really like for maybe not for handling, but for custom bikes. I think it looks so cool. And that's the Kenny Boyce FXR frame, like the Pro Street FXR frame, which looks a whole hell of a lot like an FXE, very similar with like usually a soft tail style oil bag on it. I think that looks awesome. And it's like, if you don't like the styling of the FXR with its exposed triangulated frame, a Kenny Boyce FXR platform, that is freaking awesome. Or, I mean, you could just get a dyno. Oh my God, we're living out our too trash to thrash fantasies right now. The very first design that Conrad ever did for us. And the whole too trash to thrash thing was all these chopper guys. The reason they build choppers and mess around with that is because they're all too busted up from riding skateboards to skate anymore. Are they way fast right now?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I might have made the wheels a little too fast. We'll find out.
They wouldn't be too fast for somebody, but maybe too fast for you.
I don't know. Fuck around and find out.
The skate park is closed. Closed for repairs. We have to go to a different one. Very not punk rock of us to just let them tell us it's closed and ride away. We really have sold out. We've changed. I remember when the Shay Lisi channel used to be cool. I miss the old Shay Lisi.
There is no old Shay Lisi. I've only been here for like 3 years.
Oh, I can't wait to miss the old Shay Lisi. Wait, that still sounds bad. Florida ain't that bad as long as you're moving on a motorcycle. The minute you stop moving, Florida's pretty rough this time of year. Luckily, moving on a motorcycle is exactly where I like to be. Well, Tampa's got plenty of famous skate parks. We're right down the street from Spot Skate Park of Tampa, but Shay Lisi hasn't skated in a while, and I don't know if you've ever been around all the skater boys, but they do be loving to talk shit about anybody out there with a camera who's not super good at skating. And like I said, me and Shay Lisi are definitely too trash to thrash, so I'm really not trying to get made fun of by a 12-year-old right now. You'd think I'd be used to it because just existing on the internet guarantees that you're gonna get made fun of by a 12-year-old. So we're not gonna go to Skate Park of Tampa, however awesome it is. We are gonna try the Bro Bowl downtown, which is another infamous Tampa spot for all you guys who played Tony Hawk back in the day. It's funny that I'm like, oh, I'm just too embarrassed about skating to go to Skate Park of Tampa because I'm actually friends with Brian Schaefer. If anyone out there who's watching is really into skating, you'll know who Brian Schaefer is. Obviously, he was not like on the level of hugely famous like Tony Hawk, but at one point, Brian Schaefer was a household name if you're into skating, and he, of course, owns Skate Park of Tampa. The chances of getting made fun of by a 12-year-old are still pretty high at the Bro Bowl, but, you know, I guess we're just gonna have to risk it for the biscuit. My gosh, are we actually 12-year-old bully free? Business. We got old 92, the Trusty Glide up on the lift. Even though this bike is very trusty, don't just trust me, trust Shelby, trust Joe. It's a trusty bike. It does have a small leak on the rocker box gasket, so I'm gonna pull the tank, replace those, and we're just gonna go ahead and replace that CV carb. So with all the paperwork that came with this bike, it was actually tuned and built with a Mikuni carb on it, with a Mikuni flat slide. So we're just gonna go, even though that CV is great and all, this is a hot rod, so we're just gonna go ahead and go back to the Mikuni carb. I'm gonna let Joe help me out with that because he is a Mikuni expert. But until he's here to help me with the heavy lifting and that kind of stuff, I'm gonna do the grunt work and get these gaskets replaced. Always keep one of these around. Well, short break because we had a live stream on the Shadetree Twitch channel. Let's go ahead and finish up these rocker box gaskets. While I was doing this, I found out one of the bolts was loose, specifically the one that Joe and Shelby call the bastard bolt, which is this guy right here, and the bolt was a little marred up, which makes me think whoever had these off last probably just didn't get it tight enough, because it's really hard to get something in there, unless you have something like this. So if whoever tried to replace those before didn't get that quite tight enough, it looks like that was what happened. That's where the leak was coming from. But either way, you got new gaskets in there. For all the people who say it's not real, which is no one says it's not real, because we have winners all over the place, my man Shep over here is taking it in his own hands to deliver a couple of bikes here. We've got the Buell and we've got the 90s chopper. We got the bad boy over here going up to their new owners in Kansas and in North Carolina. As you know, right now we're still running raffles on the Shovelhead FXR and what I was just working on, old 92 with the built Evo motor. So those are open as of the filming of this video, so jump on it. And I don't know if I'll deliver it, David will deliver it, or my man Shep will deliver it, but one way or another, somebody's getting a really cool bike.
Getting things ready. It's about 8 o'clock and the chopper's gonna be here shortly. The boys from Tampa. Oh, Shep's all by himself. I thought he'd have company with him in all their glory. Hey, while you're in there, you came up by yourself. First start, here we go. Will it start? Thank you, Forgotten Angels, Josh, Shadetree, and Shep for delivering it.
I'm just pulling old 92 off the lift for a second because I'm really waiting on Joe to put that Mikuni on anyway. I could certainly put it on, but I want someone who knows what they're doing with it. And Shelby is the absolute master of the Harley CV carb, and Joe is the master of the Mikuni carb on a Harley Davidson. But in the meantime, we've got a really nice bike to put on a lift, 2007 Goldwing, which of course belongs to Good King Richard. Needs some brakes, and they were trying to rake him over the coals at the Honda dealership. So I said, you know what, man? Richard has been one of those people who's been a mentor, has helped him out my entire life, taught me how to run a business, you know, just been there for me. So whenever I get a chance to work on his bike and help him out, the answer is always yes. I don't care how busy I am. And yeah, we're pretty busy right now, but not too busy to help out the people we love. Looks enormous, but gosh, this is so much lighter than a GL 1500. I'll tell y'all, doing a raffle giveaway every 2 weeks sure has been keeping us busy. It's for a good cause though, so I don't mind doing it. But if you ever get so busy that you can't help out the people you love the most, the people who've been there for you, if you ever find yourself so busy that you can't do that, you're doing something wrong. You never should be that busy. Now, I've never done the brakes on a 1800cc Goldwing, but seems to me like it's probably gonna be pretty self-explanatory. Believe it or not, Goldwings are actually very, very easy to work on, and everything about them is pretty damn well documented. So even if you can't figure it out, I guarantee you there is a how-to online, usually multiple videos to choose from. Besides Harley Davidsons, I think that Goldwings are probably one of the most documented motorcycles on the internet. That's what always makes them a good bet. Outside of a total engine failure on a GL 1500 or 1800, there's almost nothing that you can't do in an afternoon by yourself with basic tools. Now, get into the GL 1200s and you fry a stator, that can be a little bit of an issue. But that is really the only thing on a 1200 that can really give you problems. Alright. Oh, I have never seen this before, so I don't really know what's going on here. It looks like it's got its own extra master cylinder down here. Probably some sort of Goldwing linked brake things, but whatever. Brake pads are brake pads. That definitely had Loctite on it. That had Loctite on it too. Oh yeah, definitely needed new pads in here. Am I gonna have to stick it back in there to loosen that? No, thankfully. Pads were down, but they weren't metal on metal yet. About as close as you can get though. Okay, this definitely turned into one of those read the instructions first, because this is one of those ones that you can replace without actually taking the caliper off, which is pretty neat. And then the instructions it gives you, or at least the instructions that I read, say to just use a screwdriver to pry these guys back down to make room for the new material on the new pads. See how well that works? Works just fine actually. I'm like, I feel like I would have gouged the rotor if I did it while I was in there, so I don't mind taking it out. But that was the official instructions, is use a screwdriver with the old pads, not to use a C-clamp like I'm used to using on things. And we'll go ahead and oblige these guys with a little Loctite on their way back in. So on the other side, I'm gonna try and do it without taking this off. I just don't want to like use a screwdriver and scrape up the rotor. I don't think so. I can't get in there without taking this off. Maybe I could have forced a screwdriver in there. I just feel like I don't want to do that to this rotor. I don't know how. This would be so much harder. It's so much easier just to take the caliper off than to try to fight your way in there and do it with it on there. I think anyway. What the fuck do I know? Don't forget your shim here. That's gonna go on the inside. Fuck doing this with this. I'm still on the bike. It's like technically less steps, but it's so much more of a pain in the ass. It feels like to me. Alright, well, Orchard's bike is done, so back to work, although this still doesn't feel like work. I imagine maybe one day that working on bikes will feel like work, and I know it feels like work for my very good friend Shelby Daytona, 1-800-ASK-SHELBY, and Joe, the mountain wizard from way back in the holler. It feels like work to them, but it doesn't feel like work to me yet, so I'm just gonna go ahead and enjoy it still. One day, it might feel like work. When that day comes, I'll burn that bridge when I get there. Are these Makunis, do they usually a big pain in the ass to tune?
No, for most anything that I get from the shop, I can pretty much pick out a baseline setting to get it to start and run with, and then ride it from there, and then tweak it if need be. They're real straightforward and simple. They're easy to work with. They're a fairly intuitive program. I think it's what fucks a lot of people up on, is they're so simple that people read way more into them than what's actually there.
Gotcha. I mean, just from me looking at it, I'm like, that has like a whole lot more knobs, pulleys, levers, and buttons than the CV carb does.
Yeah, but if you look at how each system works and how each circuit works, it's way simpler than that. Especially on Mikuni, the main jet, the only time it is 100% in play is if you are at 3/4 throttle or more.
Gotcha.
Below that, that's when the needle base taper and the base diameter and the taper profile comes into play.
Gotcha.
You can play around with different combination of the needle spec and also the needle jet, you know, fine tune it at certain throttle positions, at certain, you know, throttle angles as far as.
So you can just set it up basic, but if you really want to fine tune this compared to a CV carb, you can take this one and just like get lost in the in that kind of stuff. It seems like to me. I'm gonna do a little thing. I'm gonna eke out 3 more horsepower out of this carburetor by completely fine tuning it. Something like that, you mean?
Yeah. The thing is, it's not just about horsepower when it's strapped to a dyno. I mean, it's about how it's going to make power. It's about how it's going to respond.
Yeah.
You know, the actual drivability of it.
Yeah.
Because doing a dyno pull, you're just wide open throttle, and all you're worried about is that little guy right there. That's all that's going to make any difference on dyno pull, unless you have somebody that is specifically looking at different throttle angles, different loads, things like that. That discharge nozzle for the pump, watch where it's spraying. You can actually adjust them on the bike. An O-ring that holds it into the main body. As long as you're careful and you don't dick it up, you can reach in there with a pair of tweezers and needle nose pliers and get it exactly what you want.
That's freaking cool, man. Some little tricks like that freaking get you an inch faster across a quarter mile than the guy next to you, you know?
Mikuni tells you to aim this to where that spray from the nozzle hits that needle. If you've got fuel hitting that needle right there, it's right up above where airflow is going across the top of that jet needle and is pulling fuel to atomize fuel.
Right.
You're fucking up that atomization path.
Oh.
So what I do that Mikuni said, you know, different from what Mikuni says, I'll get it real close to the needle, but what I do is I aim it to where whenever it hits, it's hitting in the middle of the intake manifold. Airflow and vacuum is going to dictate where that fuel goes.
Yeah.
If you keep it as a solid, more confined stream until it gets back here, it kind of has the same effect as getting more pump shot by using a smaller nozzle, because it's not splashed out and, you know, already broken up from hitting that needle like Mikuni tells you. And it made a huge difference on my Yamaha. This passage right here is the air bleed inlet for the pilot circuit. And that pilot jet from idle to wide open throttle is always active, and it's always moving fuel, and it's always contributing to the grand scheme of things. Most of these adapters, when they go on, they lay in there just like that. This is where we're trying to get a clean, smooth, uncorrupted flow of air going into for the pilot circuit. when you put the adapter on there, look what it does. It covers up pretty much all of it. What I do is I take and I blend a little trough into it and everything to where it has the ability for airflow to flow down into that pilot bleed circuit instead of flowing across the top of it and being all kind of turbulent and everything, because at higher RPM, when you've got a lot of airflow going across there, if you've got a lot of airflow going across here, it'll actually make one lean out, because instead of allowing air to get pulled into that air bleed, it'll create a vacuum across here, and it will actually start moving air and fuel backwards through the carburetor on that pilot circuit.
And I bet like 90% of people out there running Makunis on Harleys with an adapter like that are experiencing that. Like, how many people do what you just did?
I've never seen anybody do it.
I was about to say, dude, y'all, whoever's getting this FXR, y'all just got a very special Makuni, and whoever's watching has got the skill to do this, pay attention.
Then again, that may be complete and total bullshit. It's just, it makes sense in my head.
It makes sense to me too, man.
They're kind of like the 750 Holly of the motorcycle world.
Gotcha. Because I see them on everything.
They run damn good on a 660 Raptor.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I've seen them on quads.
Yeah.
I've seen a whole bank of them on 4-cylinder engines. You know, I see them all over the place. Lucky Strike hanging off the lip, Dremel tool, carving a couple more horsepower out of the freaking jet over here. You're a rare breed, Joe.
And I can still count to 10 without having to pull off a shoe. See, that's what we had before. You know, the way it's manufactured, the way it's delivered and everything. And you can't see any of that air bleed. So after we notched it and blended it in, you can see where you got a nice little airflow path where air can come in and get into that air bleed and do what it's got to do and do what it's supposed to do without creating a bunch of turbulence or creating a vacuum at high RPM. Out here on this outer diameter here, this isn't going to matter and everything, because you've got the radius from the entrance of the carb mount.
Right.
But right here, put a back plate on this thing and hook up the gas line and see what the hell happens. Check this out. This is what I was talking about in that pump shot. Cool thing on the Makunis is if you're gentle with it, you can grab that little guy with a pair of needles and turn him just a little bit, and you can adjust it after the carb's assembled. So now we got a pump shot that's going straight back, and it's hitting the back wall of the intake, but more importantly, it's not disrupting airflow or atomized fuel coming up around that needle. I want to see if it makes potato noises.
Sounds like it to me. Guys, now that we got that Makuni carb on there, this thing is running good. It's time to make it handle good too. I know there's a lot of people who said, please don't put 13-inch shocks on it, because if I win the bike, they're saying I'm 5'1", I'm 5'2", I want these 11-inch shocks. Well, I'm sorry, I'm taking them off because I really want to be able to ride this bike the way it's supposed to handle. Never fear, I'm not throwing them away. So if you win this bike and you're like 5'5", or actually 5'5", you can ride this bike fine with 13-inch shocks. Even like 5'3", you'll probably be fine. Anything under that, you might want it to be lowered, but you should really give it a whirl before you do that. We'll definitely have Shadetree test it out with the 13-inch shocks to see how she feels about it, and she's only 4'11", so that'll give you kind of a good idea. But after that, this bike is done. And being done is something I like, even though I don't want to be done with this bike because I love it, but someone else is going to be winning it. We're pulling the tickets for this Friday, July 7th, live on the channel, and somebody's going home with old 92. We're already dropping off bikes left and right here. We're doing amazing things with Forgotten Angels, and we're going on to do many more amazing things, and whoever wins this bike is going to have some amazing adventures. So let's slap them shocks up. 92, the trusty glide. Proper ride height, and even trustier now because you can still start it from up here, but now just to avoid contacts welding themselves together, you can also start it down there. You know, I know that we've got that push button starter on there because solenoid likes to become as one, but also it just looks so damn cool to reach behind your leg and start that sucker up. Holy mackerel, dude. Yeah, I'd say the flat slide makes a pretty big difference. Damn. Woo-hoo, this thing is rowdy, baby. It's real rowdy. And now with them 13-inch shocks on it, boys, you can ride this thing exactly how you're supposed to ride it. Like an asshole. Oh yeah, not having to worry about scraping parts when you're... Oh! Yeah, you don't have to worry about scraping parts. You do have to worry about the front wheel coming up off the ground. Damn, dude. Oh, dude. Dude. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Man, it's just... I'm excited for whoever's getting this bike. It makes me excited to get my FXR back too. Real excited. Oh yeah, dude. I got the shock set about half preload because I'm a big boy, but I'll obviously include the tool so you can adjust the preload for your own stuff. To whoever happens to take this thing home, and whoever takes this home, dude, you are getting a hell of a motorcycle. Just makes power in all the right places, handles like a dream. This thing is freaking sick, dude. And like I said, it's all good money going to a good cause. Like, yeah, we're gambling, but we're gambling for a good cause. We are bad people doing good things. And someone's taking home this FXR, or the Shovelhead FXR, it's up to you. Somebody's taking it home for 25 bucks. So nice to be able to go around a corner and not drag any parts. Yeah, those 11-inch shocks, just not what this bike needed, dude. It definitely needs to be set up like this. And I don't know, like I said, if you really want me to throw those 11-inchers back on there before I send it out to you, I will, but you should at least try it out with these shocks on here before you make that decision. Oh, that Evo D-cell from a 2-into-1, ain't nothing sounds like it. It ain't like you have to ride it like an asshole. It's just begging for it. And when something this pretty asks so politely, what can you do but oblige it? Riding like an asshole does sound very nice, and I got to do a little bit of it at least, but for right now, it's time to park this sucker in the garage. As I keep threatening, people are going home with these bikes. We got a 1992 with a built Evo, the one that I was just on and kind of riding like a jerk on. And then of course we got the 82 shovel, which you can't help but look like a jerk on. And I love that. We are bad people doing good things. And as much as I hate to see either of these motorcycles go, I know they're going for an absolutely amazing cause. We've been doing a raffle every 2 weeks, and some of these raffles have had odds that are something like 1 in 500. This one might be a little bit more, but still, you have way worse odds on winning your money back on a scratch off than you do on winning one of these classic motorcycles. And let me tell you what, when you buy a scratch off and your odds are even worse on even just getting your money back, I will tell you this, that money goes nowhere, and every dollar that you spend on this, it goes to help Forgotten Angels in their fight to end the cycle of foster care abuse. If you're aware of what we do here, and I know you are because this raffle has never spread outside of my channel. I've never had a video go viral on it. I've never had some giant million-view video about it. It's all just us. And I mean us. We are the ones who are doing this for Forgotten Angels. Obviously, fingers crossed that sometimes someone shares my video to the right person, and like Keanu Reeves shares my video and says, hey, look at all these bikers doing good things for people. But until then, we're doing this. You guys didn't know what if you guys are unaware, if this is your first time here and you're unaware of Forgotten Angels, there are so many young men and young women in the foster care system who come from broken homes. They come from being mentally abused, physically abused, a lot of them sexually abused by their parents. A lot of them are forced to take drugs by their parents. They're put in dangerous situations. They're almost killed, and they're taken away from their home, which they need to be. And then they're just thrust into the home of somebody who's using them to make money. I don't know how it is in every state, but in Florida, you can make up to $1,000 per child, and you're allowed to put 4 kids per room in a 3-bedroom house. You do the math, and people just use them as cash cows. And these kids came from such horrible situations that nobody even worries about the situation they're in because, you know, at least they're not dead. They live in these houses, they're barely provided food, there's no TV, there's no art on the walls, they're just treated like a machine that they can pump money out of. And once they turn 18 and that money turns off, they get made homeless and get kicked out on the street. They've received no education, they don't have driver's license, they don't have a job, they don't have a cell phone, they don't have anything but a garbage bag, because that's what they're usually given, because suitcases cost money. They're given a garbage bag, told to throw all their belongings on it, and hit the street on their 18th birthday. David came from an amazing family. His father and mother taught him amazing values. Cindy, David's wife, who started Forgotten Angels, that's what she went through. Cindy Tilley originally started Forgotten Angels out of her own house, taking kids in who are over 18, because they're still kids even though the government calls them adults, and just helping them out in any way she could, giving them gas cards, getting them prepaid cell phones, just doing whatever she could because she went through this and she saw the horrors that were being inflicted on them. From there, she met David and they expanded to the property that you guys have seen in the camp out, the 15 acres where they build tiny homes for young men to live in, to rebuild their lives, to be mentored. They get taught how to drive a car, how to drive a stick shift car, how to drive a motorcycle. They get taught life skills. They have their credit rebuilt. If they want to go to college, they go to college. A lot of them are helped to join the service. They join the military. And I'll tell you what, these ain't poster children either. These kids come there bad. They come there with records. They come there with drug addictions. They come there with problems like you wouldn't believe, psychological and otherwise, which is also why they offer therapy there, among other things, counseling, mentoring, everything that a parent should do for you, but these kids never got that. Not from their birth parents, from the family that was given to them, and not from the people who were supposed to be taking care of them when their family failed. So it's up to us to try again afterwards, because these are real people and they deserve, it's not their second chance, because they never got a chance. It's their first chance at life, and that's what we're doing here. That's what that 25 bucks does, and trust me, I love being greasy, I love being shady, I love doing my thing, but Forgotten Angels, these motorcycles that we've raffled off to help them, all of you guys, David and Cindy, this has changed my life and given me a purpose that I never thought I would have. Some days I even gotta try real hard to do some bad stuff to make up for all the good stuff that you guys do with me, because trust me, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be doing this either. Together, we're doing some pretty amazing things. We're drawing the winners for those bikes this Friday, live on the Shadetree Surgeon channel, July 7th, so buy your ticket now. You got less than a week to get it. Till next time, y'all, keep it weird.
Crashing through the sky comes a fearful cry. Shadetree Army! Shadetree Army! Armies of the night, evil taking flight. Shadetree Army! Shadetree Army! Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, panic spreading far and wide. Can the world oppose the deadliest of foes? Shadetree Army! Shadetree Army! Who will risk it all to end the evil call of Shadetree Army? Shadetree Army! They never give up, they never say die, walking tall with banners high. Shadetree Army, a ruthless gang of scum, villains, freaks, and bikers determined to rule the world.